Hello, everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and in this particular video, we are finally down to episode 24 of Season 1 of Young Justice, and we're going to go ahead and do our real quick and, well, spoilerific review as we usually do. All right, let me get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse 1.
Okay, Young Justice Season 1, episode number 24 is entitled Performance, and it initially aired out on Cartoon Network all the way back in April 7th of 2012. Like usual, folks, episodes are almost 6 years old. We're not going to be giving any sort of spoiler warnings, because after a quick synopsis, we're going to talk about 3 talking points: what we liked about the episode, what we didn't like about the episode, or if there was anything that we would like to change, what details we would change. And then also, if we notice any details, act as a setup or reference to a future storyline or episode that's coming down the pike. Since we're coming to the end of the first season, maybe not, the future of this season, maybe into the future of the second season as it stands. All right. Okay. The synopsis of this particular one is that we have the dangers at Haley's International Traveling Circus. All right, Dan Danger, Don Danger, Dane Danger, Dean Danger, and Diane Danger. Basically, the members of the team comprises Robin, Miss Martian, Red Arrow, Superboy, and Artemis. Basically, are on Robin's request, basically are doing an undercover mission for Batman. All right. What's happening is that they're following Haley's International Traveling Circus around because there seems to be a crime spree of high-tech, of technology and weapons that have been disappearing all along these stop routes that the Haley's Traveling Circus, all these cities that Haley's Traveling Circus has stopped at. So, at this moment in time, Agent Faraday has already begun his investigation into Haley's circus, and he's pretty much been telling Jack Haley, the owner of the circus, look, I don't know what's going on, but it's not a coincidence. Everywhere you guys have stopped on your European tour, there's been a big break-in, and, things have gone missing. He's like, whether or not you're involved, directly or indirectly, if you don't fess up and help me solve this sometime soon, I might have to close you down, right? So if you know Robin's backstory, you'll know that the Haley's Traveling Circus is actually where the Flying Graysons used to go ahead and perform. This particular piece of information is actually relayed again in the conversation between Robin and Kid Flash. Kid Flash is one of the few guys on the team who knows exactly who he is. He knows his whole backstory and everything. But as Robin says, he's there to help out Jack, and he wants to make sure that everything is clean. During their first stop in Bruges, in the country of Brussels, they stake out a high-tech warehouse, and they notice the thief breaking in. They can't determine whether or not it's one of the acrobats or the fire breather. Turns out that during a scuffle in the warehouse, the thief escapes. All right. Their show dates have all finished up in Bruges. They're moving on to Geneva. And during the move and everything else, or when they're getting ready to go ahead and board the train en route to Geneva, turns out Miss Martian gets sick. Robin starts putting things together, and through the powers of deduction, because of all the things that he knows, okay, what's going on here? We can't have, it doesn't look like the whole circus is in on this. It sounds really improbable that it's, one guy with all these abilities, but if it is, he starts putting together the clues, and it turns out that the actual thief who is tagging along with the surface is actually the Parasite. The Parasite has been stealing these components in order to build a weapon, which turns out to be a black hole generator. All right. This black hole generator can't run on its own. It needs a very large power source, which is actually available because in their universe, there's a large boson particle collider in Geneva, and that happens to be their next stop on the circus route. So en route there, throughout going ahead and, figuring out proof positive that it's definitely the parasite, he was able to not only steal Miss Martian's powers, but also, let's see here, Superboy's Kryptonian powers. They were able to come down to devising a plan to actually subduing the parasite. It turns out that when the parasite goes ahead and he absorbs their powers, he also absorbs their weaknesses. And because of that, they're able to go ahead and exploit Miss Martian's weakness to fire and subdue him. At that time, Agent Faraday arrives. He's been tipped off by Robin. He has an inhibitor collar with him, and he goes ahead and he puts Parasite in custody, and he brings him back. All right. During this whole time, one of the reasons why Red Arrow has been there is because he's been very adamant. He's like, look, Robin, I know you have a mole on the team. Your prime suspects are Artemis, Miss Martian, and Superboy. All right. Whether or not you want me to come along or not, he's like, I'm going to come along. I'm going to watch your back. And if there's a mole on this team, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dispose of him. Through a little bit of scuffling and disagreements back and forth, the rest of the team finds out that, yes, that's indeed the reason why he's there, not just to help Robin out. And after they go ahead and they finally triumph over the parasite, through good teamwork and planning and everything else, Red Arrow at the end says, you know what, I've never seen you guys work together in action and everything. He's like, after seeing everybody in action, seeing how everybody works together like this, he's like, I can't be convinced there's a traitor in this mist. Only conclusion I have right now is that there is no mole on the team. And that's pretty much where they leave off. At the end, Dan Danger, Robin, is about to say farewell to Jack Haley, and he sits there and goes, it's a pain to see you go. He's like, the one thing that you can't fake, no matter how many times, no matter how many times you see it, he's like, you can't fake what it looks like to be a flying Grayson on the trapeze. And then, Jack Haley pretty much exposes to Robin that, yes, I knew that you were Dick Grayson after the first time I saw you up there. All right. You've grown a lot. Thank you for helping me out. And the Dangers go ahead and give them one last farewell performance before the end of the mission. And that's pretty much it. That's where the episode leads off. Okay. All right. I think that pretty much covers everything. I don't think I've missed any sort of sub stories or anything like that, subplots or anything like that. So let's go right into our talking points. What in this episode did you guys like? Floor is open.
This episode was extremely cool. Not only do you have Robin return to his real roots, that I got a kick out of that, because you don't usually see that. You don't usually see Dick Grayson return to his Flying Grayson roots. I really like that. I like the way the story was integrated around that. That's one of the things that made the episode quite fun. But Gray Mouse, what about you?
Yeah, to continue on what you're saying, in a couple of videos previous, I've mentioned that everybody had their backstory episode, and this is the final one, Robin. But I just wanted to add on, but one thing that I really particularly liked was the dialogue in this episode. A lot of slapstick, especially from the enemy, Parasite. There's a couple times when I was actually laughing at some of the comments that he said, and it was just great. I really enjoyed the slapstick of this one. I wouldn't really call it slapstick, I guess, but the comedy was on point on this one.
Not only the comedy, but like the conversation when the team was having, when Miss Martian got sick, and she goes,
"Yeah, and
that Martian can catch a human virus," and Robin goes, "H.G. Wells."
That's what I was saying. It was a lot of the dialogue was actually the dialogue stole the show on this one. Whatever was done it was just excellent. The dialogue was excellent.
I was like, wow, they threw a War of the Worlds reference in there. Bravo.
Oh.
And got away with it.
For a freaking cartoon that's supposed to be for kids, you throw a War of the Worlds reference into it. Bravo to that.
Yeah. This particular episode is a very fast moving episode. Without the commercial breaks and everything else, it's like 22, 23 minutes long, and it literally goes like that. It's really, really quick. They set you on the way, and they go ahead and then, instead of completely explaining the whole situation, they kind of set the table on the way. All right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they do go ahead and they give you that glimpse into Robin's backstory, into his background and everything else. But the cool thing about it is that, this particular episode is a really good episode to use as, a reference point as far as the difference between the team when Artemis first came on to the difference with the team now, even without the leader Aqualad and or Kid Flash around, So yeah, as far as it goes, if you were to sit there and like contrast this to what I think episode number 5 or 6, which is the first episode that Artemis comes on. I think it's it's 5. It's 6. 5 is when she saves Kid Flash in the school episode.
Facing, Android. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but 6 is really the one where she actually shows up as part of the team. Yeah, if you were to compare, episode 24 to episode 6, it's like, wow, they've really come a long way. And because of that, especially if you're somebody like us who've watched the whole series from the first episode and everything, it really does carry a lot of weight. Even as fast as it goes and as casual as a lot of the conversations go, there's a lot of weight with what goes on, because everything has a very solid context. Okay. I mean, even when it comes to smart-ass comments about H.G. Wells or staying whelmed or stuff like that, guess what? Because that's Robin. That's just how he is, and that's how he handles, taking care of things around his other teammates. But that's not to say that this particular episode is perfect. All right, it is very good. I'm not going to say it's perfect. Although at the end of this one, we might make some cases to go ahead and negate that point. Was there anything in this particular episode that you didn't like, or was there any details that you would change if you had the choice?
I'm not even sure about that, because the episode flowed, especially with Superboy even still keeping his secret about him using the shields. That was good. Red Arrow, he explained on, he knows that Artemis and freaking Miss Martian has already been caught in lies, and you could be programmed. I mean, I'm not sure if I would change anything about this episode, because I don't think there was anything that was really, really out of place, unless it just went over my head. Grey Mouse, what about you?
I'll probably get some slack about this, but I felt that the villain was in it just to have a villain in the episode. I mean, the parasite was collecting parts, to create a black hole. But for what? It just seems like, I know, to suck up Geneva. I got that. Gotcha. Typical villainy. But I just felt like, I was like, okay, why is he here? I mean, because I think I kind of understand that it pushed the plot forward, as in why Dick Grayson was he went to go help his friend. There's something going on, but it was never really explained why Parasite was putting together a black hole generator. I mean, the agent came in and put one of those power nullification bracelets or necklaces or whatever inhibitor around Parasite's neck. And of course, we know he's going to Bel Rev. So guess who's there? There's an insider in there. So I just really felt that they needed to have an enemy there to push this whole story along. I mean, it worked, but I just wish that there was a little bit more there. That what was the purpose of him collecting the parts to create the black hole? I mean, but then I guess the other argument is this: is like, why does the Joker do what he do? You know, if you want to put it that, I'm just saying. So I mean, it could be the same way, but I just wish there was a little bit more information.
Well, within the confines of the 22 minutes that they gave us, they did explain that he was working with the inner gang, which we know is connected with the light, and basically the light has been using the inner gang and everybody else has been working with them basically as test subjects just to make sure whatever technology they're telling them to use to put together is actually going to work. So maybe that's something that we can infer, you know, in periphery, but the only thing that they really explain is that he's been working with the inner gang and he's been stealing technology for them. Okay. Now with this particular one, I didn't find anything extremely grating. Just, you know, just some of the character personality quirks and, you know, like I said, teenagers being dumb teenagers and stuff like that. But again, in context for the 22 minutes that they have on screen and everything that's going on, there wasn't anything that was out of place. Like they're staking out the warehouse in Bruges, okay, and they're trying to sneak up on the thief who just got in there, and here comes Superboy, you know, flying off of the fucking, you know, skyscrapers, landing down, causing a seismic event. You know, it's pretty much as subtle as a car bomb. You know, it's like, well, you're telling me that whoever was in there didn't know that somebody else was out there, you know, or anything like that. Or the fact that, you know, they had their little spat inside the passenger car when they're going from place to place. But again, in the context of things, yeah, the dumb teenagers. You know, okay, as much as we love them as characters, they're still dumb teenagers, and none of it was really out of place. Like I said, maybe a little bit grating. I don't know. Maybe I personally, you could have dialed that back, like maybe a point or two, but nothing that would ruin the episode for me, really. All right.
It's funny because Superboy almost blew his cover more than once as far as him using the shields. I mean, yeah, I can understand what you're saying about his, you know, seismic landing, but I believe that was after he put the shield on. Yeah, so if he would have floated to the ground,
yeah,
I don't think that would have went well. I mean, when Parasite freaking drew him off the train and Superboy flew back on it.
Yeah.
Once again, almost being caught. So,
yeah.
I mean, well, it's funny how I like the detail with this, and I'm going to let them move on. When Parasite flew away with that crate from the train, if you listen to it, it was a Superman-style flight. It was a Superman-style. You can hear that sound when Superman flies, but everyone thought that he got Miss Martian's powers, but he got Superman's because of Superboy's in the shield.
Yeah. I think, like I said, as far as it goes with this, there wasn't anything that stood out that was like, okay, there were a lot of details, and that actually kind of helped the fact that it was like, okay, considering the bad guy that we had in this particular episode, and considering everything that was happening, that really helped move things along very, very quickly. There wasn't anything that was there that was going to make me really, really annoyed. All right, because there really wasn't. I don't have a lot of notes as far as like the things that I did not like on this. Okay, literally, I've got like 8 words, and that's it. Okay, but let's go ahead and move past that. Third talking point. Was there anything in this particular episode that you noticed set up like a storyline or something else that's coming in the future? Maybe not in the next few episodes, maybe into the second season. Floor is open, guys.
Wow. Okay. You saw Superboy using the shields. Is something with that going to come to fruition? You know, that was one thing. But the other that doesn't really go anywhere, that I was really proud of them for doing this, was Agent Faraday. Him showing up. I mean, you know damn well he's a DC character. He's been around. As soon as he popped up, I'm like, whoa. So they're adding him into the mix? I thought that was really good. But there was other things about it too. But Gray Mouse, what about you?
2 words. Red Arrow. Go ahead, Reverend.
Nope. You gotta fucking look. All right. Part of the reason why we're doing the reviews here is we're expressing this stuff for other people to go ahead and come on.
No.
You have time.
That's all. No, that's all we got to say is Red Arrow. Especially that one talk about there is no mole. Yes, there is. That's all I have to say. I mean, I don't need to elaborate.
That's all you had to do. All right.
Yeah, Red Arrow.
That would be like saying, okay, was there anything that set up other things that happened, for a future storyline or episode? Yes.
Well, see, no, it's not. It's not that blunt. Simply because you said that at the very beginning. You said that spoiler. There's no spoilers here, or I mean, I'm sorry. There's no spoiler warnings. So yeah. Red Arrow. That's all I got to say, and you automatically know what I'm talking about. If you've watched them all, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
But he's talking about setup for the next
that
episode.
Red Arrow.
Well, you could say the same thing about Superboy, like what I mentioned about the Shields.
Okay, that's a conversation for off camera. So, all right.
Yeah. Red Arrow and the mole thing. I thought it was kind of. That was a raising eyebrow, especially after we've watched them all, all the episodes many times. It's like, yeah. Kettle, meat, pot, or, it's like, yeah, I messed that one up, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, I think that is the very major storyline setup that's put up at the end. Not so much, reminding people about it, but if this is your first time watching the episode all the way through or the season all the way through, they're literally setting up the swerve. All right, that literally the person who's been going out of their way, being the most helpful, trying to go ahead and
find the mole,
keep everything together and find the mole and everything else, is the mole. All right, so that's. Yeah, they're setting up the swerve is what they're doing with this particular one. And that last line, there is no mole is like literally, that final setup, as far as that swerve goes.
Yep.
Like I said, if you've seen the episodes multiple times, yeah, it becomes pretty obvious. But if you're somebody who's seen this the first time, oh wow, yeah, that's and if you've tried to pay attention to a lot of this, yeah, it's really well set up, all right, which is probably the best thing about this particular episode is that it is working toward the end of the season, and they are even 24 episodes into the season, they're not stopping this effort where they're just like, we're gonna turn. Last moment try to distract you, saying, look over here, instead of what's obviously in front of you. Yes, the butler does it. All right. Yeah, we know that. Okay. But it's
with the lamp.
Yeah. In the kitchen, yeah.
So wait, before, what's your say on this?
As far as what?
As far as, the hook.
Set up.
Yeah, I just kind of expanded on mine. I apologize for that, but anyway.
No, the big reference, the big setup is the fact that they're setting up a distraction. All right, the whole thing where there is no mole, it's not just a reference to things that's going to come. It's not just set up for things to come, but it's literally turning everybody away from the fact that yes, there is. All right,
it's definitely a sleight of hand and it's definitely a sleight of hand or misdirection. And
it's definitely a misdirection. So, yeah, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this particular episode. All right, but before we ramble too far on, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. On a scale of yay, nay, or meh, what are your final thoughts on this particular episode, guys?
Yay, and that's all I'm going to say about it right now. That I can go on and on. Gray Mouse, what about you?
You cannot use my one word thing. No, I hate this fucking episode. This episode so no, this was a great episode. The dialogue was great. I love it. It's definitely a yay for me. I mean, that's the whole, the last two episodes and the whole entire season 2. So yes.
Yeah, I think this one's a yay also. No, in fact, I know this one's a yay also. I like this one. This one is, like I said, the episode moves really, really fast. It almost moves on autopilot. I mean, literally, it moves so fast and things are happening in a way where it's like, before you know it, you're very comfortable in watching what's going on. You're really familiar with all these characters and everything. And it's like they're really just kind of stringing you along until the very end. They go, there is no mo. And then you sit there at the end, and if you're on autopilot like everybody else, you know, especially if this is the first time watching the episode, you're like, oh, maybe there isn't a mo. Okay? And it works out fucking great, you know? And like I said, you know, we've got 2 more episodes left in the first season. They're still setting this up. Kudos. This is just, you know, a great example of the type of effort that they went into putting into everything up until this point.
You know what's really interesting is I kind of feel the same way almost on all the episodes thus far, except for freaking Secret. That's the only episode that I felt like just like, is this over yet? But everything else, you get lost in it. You're like, especially watching with no commercial breaks, you're like, wow, that episode was just like, before you know it, you see the credits, and like, wow, that was quick. You know, you don't really pay attention to the context or how long it takes. So it's not just this episode I felt that way. I felt it pretty much the whole season.
Yeah.
It's funny because even at the beginning of the episode, when they were doing the acrobats and everything and shooting arrows through barrels and things like that, and when Robin actually missed Miss Martian and actually starts falling, and it's like, you're going to begin an episode like that? So you're going to begin an episode with a Grayson falling from a trapeze. That's fucked up. When I first saw that, I was like, how the fuck are you going to begin an episode with a Grayson falling? And while he's falling, he's like, don't blow our cover. Wait, what? Okay, Superboy could have caught him. But still, it was just like, you start with a Grayson maybe falling to his death in a circus act.
It's like, what is this? Robin's Reckoning Part 1?
Yeah. But then this episode, and that's why I wanted you guys to go first, because it was real deep with Robin, really deep. And the conversation that him and Kid Flash had about it.
Well, Billy and Dick go back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that's why he didn't even want him involved in the freaking mission.
Yeah.
But if you think about
what was Wally going to do in a circus act anyway? Trip and fall over every fucking thing, be a clown?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. But, you know, if you think about it, actually, now that you mentioned that, that is a really real big callback to, like I said, the episode of Robin's Reckoning on Batman the Animated Series. Because how did that episode open up? Mm-hmm. And literally telling how Robin ended up being the ward of Bruce Wayne. And they replayed the sequence, all right, where Bruce Wayne is sitting there watching the trapeze artist, and yeah, the fucking, you know, they show the trapeze thing, the swing, and then all of a sudden the whole crowd gasps and everything, and then they show the broken wires and all of that. That's pretty much how that went. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's obviously the guys who put this together, you know, just like they did with the whole season and everything. Big fans of not only like the source material of comic books, but they're big fans of, you know, previous animated series that have been put out also. You know, I mean, we had one episode that played out like what was it? The that played out like the Over the Edge episode with Failsafe. This one right here, is another callback to the animated series, with Robin's Reckoning. Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of love and work put into this, But we could probably go on for a lot longer than the amount of time that we have here to go ahead and sing his praises. But that's our thoughts on pretty much on Young Justice Season 1, Episode number 24 performance. Those are our thoughts, folks. What we really want to know are what are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on the episode? What are your thoughts on our review? What are your thoughts on our thoughts and our breakdown? Did we miss something? You can let us know by leaving a comment below. While you're at it, you can go ahead and mash on that like button if you really like this. If you didn't, you can honestly go ahead and hit the unlike. I don't blame you, okay? And if you are really interested in following what we do, further, the things that we'll release out, I do suggest that you subscribe to these channels, turn on those notifications, and you'll know exactly when we put out new videos, okay? Thank you very much, by the way, for watching. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and that has been our review for Young Justice Season number 1, Episode number 24, entitled Performance. Let's get this out of here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
And I'm Gray Mouse 1.
All forms of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.